Hey friends, my name is Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the cesspool that is this live. Sorry. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. 2S is the way, my friends, for 75mm rigs. You were just watching the analog 2S rig that we built on Monday, and it just absolutely blew my brain away. Blew my I don't know. It blew my mind. There we go. That's it. This is absurd. This is so good. That battery was at 90% throttle limiting. There were a bunch of moments where the AIO would kind of like skip a beat and like just have a big moment, a big weird jitter moment. I turned it had so much power. I turned it down to 85% motor limiting, and that seemed to clean it up. I've also begun tuning this. So that was just like a super best guess tune, first pass. But, oh my god, the potential is outrageous. This flies better outside than any Tiny Whoop by a big margin. The only thing I can compare this to is the walk snail rig, which is basically the same thing. And the walk snail 2S freestyle rig flew better than pretty much everything else that I'd flown outside. So yeah, I am at this point all in on 2S for 75mm rigs. All of the things that I've been unhappy with on the 75mm motor-to-motor 1.6-inch prop builds have really kind of been like the two main things. Lack of power. Three things. Lack of power, lack of response time. The lack of response time is the lack of power. And then lack of efficiency. And it's been on 1S with 75mm rigs, it's like you have to choose. You either have a rig that has good response time, good power, and shit runtime, or decent runtime and I'm not going to say shit power, but like not... it's like that soft old school tiny whoop flight experience where there's not that authority that we get from all the other rigs that we fly, 5-inch rigs, 3-inch 4S rigs, right? And nowadays 65 millimeter 1S rigs, right? Like a 65 millimeter tiny whoop on 30,000 kV motors and up, it's like that's it. That's that like just super locked in, dialed, like on top of it, reads your mind kind of flight experience that we get when we go to 5-inch rigs, and it's why we compare everything to 5-inch rigs, right? Like as soon as we do a build that flies decent, the first words out of our mouth are that this rig flies like a 5-inch. And yeah, this does that. I was getting over 3 minutes of runtime with the Tiny Whoop 300 mAh 2S batteries. So perfect battery weight, perfect runtime. If you push really hard, you can probably drop it down below 3 minutes. If you limp it around, you can probably get like 5 minutes. And so, yeah, the Tiny Whoop 300 mAh BT 3.0 batteries are just perfect for what we're doing here. And I'm super happy. We'll get a couple things out of the way, and then I've got some more flight footage for you. I also flew this thing a bunch. This is a newbie drone BLV5 AIO on their Mosquito frame, which swings 2.5-inch propellers. These are the ultra lightweight HQ 2.5-inch biblades. I've also flown this on the GEM biblades. I can't really tell a difference. This is incredibly disappointing for me. These are newbie drone 1102 motors in they're a high KV, like 19,000 I want to say. Yeah, 19,000 kV. So I have a motor limited down a bunch, but the 1102s are not a big enough motor. But the main problem is that you can't crash it. If you crash it into the grass or into the leaves or anywhere other than the concrete, turtle mode doesn't work, and you have to take the walk of shame. And it's just maddening. Like, especially, I shouldn't have flown it right after this, because this just shit all over it. Like, this, you can turtle mode it, you can crash it, you can smash it, you can bump into shit. Like, this is so much fun. And then this is like, yeah, okay, it'll cruise down the street faster, but then when you go to corner this, it just slides all over the place, even though this is pretty lightweight. And so it was a real mistake to fly this right after this. And like, if you still like the way that toothpicks fly, you've got to build one of these. I have a feeling that this might change your mind. And like, I'm not trying to do that. I just want everybody to have the best possible flight experience that they can. And yeah, this is insane. 2S 75 prop guarded whoops are going to be my new obsession. We're going to see if we can build another one tonight. We're going to build either one or two tonight. I've got some flight footage for this of this for you guys to watch as well, and it'll be super interesting for you to watch it back to back. These are both AIOs. They're both VTX built in, ELRS built in. They both have half decent powertrains. This is like a classic example of a 2S toothpick. This is kind of like a newish thing. But man, if you were to fly in like a bigger location, this would make a lot more sense. Out in front of your house, back behind your house, if you want to shoot gaps, this ain't it. This is for like just bombing down the street and then like, doing a roll in between two trees. This'll do that, But then this will also shoot a gap between your bushes that's this big reliably every time, over and over and over and over and over again. And so, yeah, if you don't have like any gaps to shoot out in front or behind your house, okay, but you probably do, and you probably don't even realize they're there. And this is what's gonna just blow your nipples right off, my friends. So yeah, we'll take a look at some flight footage in a little bit. In the chat, Curtis Hayes was first, Doubles FPV was next, Bob Bruce, Great Hat, and Yoki, Cheetonian, Major Eric Shin, Curtis Hayes, Scotty Scott, CF Kinetic, Frank Nicholas, Douglas 6, Uriel, Borkbit, 661 FPV, Beef FPV, Grey Hat, Midnight Jesus, what's up, people? If you want to talk to me, type CiottiFPV in the chat. Grey Hat says, you got the package. I did indeed. It is right over here, and I remembered to not open it. Amazingly. So our mailbag, in a previous live stream, Grey Hat said, yo, I sent you a square box. If you can, open it live on stream. And I said, I will try my best to remember, but no promises, because life is a nightmare right now. And I'm very proud of myself that I remembered. So this is going to be our mailbag at some point here, which will be very fun. Scotty Scott says, what's up, Gangly Gang? Good evening, CiottiFPV. Curtis Hayes says, I'm in Boulder, Colorado today. Where's everybody else? Type where you're at in the chat, and maybe there's somebody local. 661 says, have you seen the absolute embarrassment of a Whoop flight test is trying to sell? It looks like a drone camp. Jesus. It looked like a drone camps video. I'm always glad when there's other people as angry and obnoxious and alive as I am. It's really just being alive. Flight test Whoop. The man typed into YouTube. Is this it? Nope, this is 8 years ago. How do I find it? I typed FLIGHT. It's FLITE, isn't it? Whoop the Halls event. Is it for this? There's a gaming chair and treadmill ad in the middle of the video. Oh no. Ah, here it is. 7 hours ago, eh? I'm not gonna play their. I'm not gonna play their video. It's based on a Modula 6. I like that. Here are the specs. Well, there were the specs. Where'd the specs go? Here are the specs. 802 19,000. That's the wrong motor. Gemfan 1219x3. That's the wrong propeller. Okay, it's frsky. So what's happening? It says RunCam Nano 3, but that's not what that camera is. And it's a PH 2.0 battery lead. All right. Moving on. Grey Hat says, when you open the package, the best explanation of what it is are the pics I DM'd you in Discord. Okay. I don't need. I know my audience. I don't need to say anything else about that. I love flight tests. I might not be into FPV if it weren't for flight tests. They were some of the model aircraft stuff that I found very early days. So I'm not going to trash on them. They're primarily wings and whatnot. So how would they know what a good tiny whoop is? They're also a store, and maybe they have a ton of those, what I'm assuming are 2G4 AIOs in stock. And so, yeah, they probably have a bunch of people that are still on frsky. I wish they'd built. I wish they'd put better motor. You know what? They're not putting motors on there. Okay, so those are a bunch of bind and flies that they had, because that's what those 802 19,000 kV motors are from. So they've got a ton of bind and flies that they're then they're yeah, now that it's whoop season, they're selling. To be honest, that propeller that they put on there is about the best option for those motors. So, but I think those are the propellers that come with that rig. So, but yeah, that's just an old school Mobula 6 bind and fly. It's not that bad. It's not that good either, but it's not that bad. So yeah. Hopefully they'll sell it cheap and support it, and it'll get a bunch more people into tiny whooping, and they'll find their way. They'll find their way to the tiny whoop formulas that perform really well. And so yeah, Brent Anderson flew into the fireplace tonight. How'd that go? Jesus. Props shrinky dinked and frame noodled, swapped out back in action. Nice. Oh boy, that's something. So Wednesday nights before these streams, I typically go to Volga Dance Academy for Wicked Westy. It's the local West Coast swing weekly dance classes that Maggie and I, more recently, have been going to pretty much every week for the last, 6 months or so. Could not bring myself 2 Wednesdays ago or last Wednesday. Glad I went tonight. Room full of just incredible people. Lots of folks in the LGBT community, and you could just kind of see in their eyes the fear and sadness and rage in some cases. It was hard, man. I almost didn't go. It feels very disingenuous to do things that bring happiness right now, which is normal. That's a very human thing. I talked a lot about that in therapy yesterday, actually, with Sean. And so tonight was interesting. Yeah, I don't know where I'm really going with this, but I try to share as much of my life as I can with you guys. And so, yeah, there was that. I think I'm still kind of processing it, to be completely honest. But yeah, that's a thing. What's happening in chat? 661. Oh no, we got that. Midnight Jesus says, I built what is essentially a Happy Model baseline, and I bought an Acro B75. Very different. Toothpick has 1103, 11,000 kV motors. You're 100% right. It's way too fast for my yard. Yeah, it's. Let me put some of this flight footage on. So I showed you the very first battery that I flew on the rig that we built Monday night. That's 67 there. What is this? 68. Why is this only one? Okay, no, this is fine. Why this is only 1 gig. All right, so here comes this. So this is just gonna roll right into it. This is the second battery that I flew. Where the fuck? There it is. Let me just make sure that's working. All right, there you go. So here's the second battery that I flew through it, and then it's going to roll right into this toothpick rig. I think this is... What am I doing here? Why is it just sitting on the ground? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, so I expected the toothpick to be way, way, way faster. And it is. It's for sure faster, right? It's a much more aerodynamic profile. So it's absolutely faster. It's not that much faster though, but boy, is it more slidey and less in control. See that? See the pacing of that dive there? Like, right? So turn it over and we've got time. And now we're flying again. This is the ducted rig. That's what the ducted rigs will do. And that's one of the ways that they'll make a space like this, a small space, feel a lot bigger and be there are just more options. There's more that you can do in a small space like this with these ducted rigs because of the wind resistance that the ducts kind of give it. See that like hang, the way that it hangs there? Now that we've got power into these things, they'll just kind of hang, and that is a big part of the experience of flying bigger, heavier rigs, is that hang time. And it's something, I think it's why this was so much fun to fly this thing today, and why, like, yeah, I'm so excited to fly this more and try out different formulas. Here we go. So this is me trying to dial the tune in a little bit, because there's a bunch of these weird moments where, see, there's one of them, like at the bottom of dives and stuff, like it's got all the power it needs, it's got all the response time it needs, but every once in a while it's just got like these odd little hiccups that I don't necessarily think that they're yaw washout related. I think they could be, maybe I'm running into the limits of this flight controller. You know, this is still the HGLRC Spectre AIO that just didn't work on 1S. I'm thrilled that it's working on 2S. I hope that it continues to work and I can iron out what this little bit of weirdness is, because, you know, it's got ELRS built in, it's got a VTX built in. There aren't many AIOs that'll support 2S that you can say that about. And so, yeah, the rig that we build tonight is either going to be on the rig that we build tonight is going to be on an X12 for sure. I'm going to throw a BT 3.0 at an X12 and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully the X12 will be fine, and that's our go-to AIO for these 2S 75mm builds. But if it blows up, then maybe this Spectre AIO is the way to go. I will absolutely not ever trust an HGLRC product. I expected this AIO to not work on Monday, but it's seems to be sort of working. But the X12 is maybe a better option. I've talked to a couple people that have been running 2S on the Happy Model X12 AIOs for a while, and it's been fine for them. So, yeah, we'll see. Happy Model is a much more known quantity than HGLRC, especially in the tiny whoop world. So yeah, the Walksnail 2S rig has to get taken apart. I'm considering putting an external analog VTX on there while I'm waiting to get more of the Walksnail VTXs back in after getting fixed, hopefully. All right, so this is the Mosquito build. Again, Newbie Drone BLV5, brand new AIO, which is now taking 2S completely fine, which is really great. This is on a Runcam Nano 4 camera. It's very dark and kind of muddy because of the Newbie Drone OSD setup. Not a whole lot that you can really do about that. It's not quite this dark in the goggles, I can say. This looks like really bad on here. In the goggles, it is better than this. So yeah, this is now another 2S rig, but we've taken the prop guards off. It's roughly the same kind of footprint, a little bit bigger, but there's no prop guards, and you've got just naked, ultra lightweight biblades. Oh, why is this loosening up here? What is happening with this? This is also not like super tuned. And so I spent a little bit of time kind of figuring out. Look at all that bobbling, though. Look at this. Look at all that bobbling here. What is that about? Look at that speed. That's where you can really tell the speed. The speed that it goes up over the house, it feels out of control. This feels way too much. Like this is making the front of the house, the side of the house feel prohibitively small, and I'm like holding on for dear life rather than like carving a cool line and making a cool thing happen. and, you know, little tiny crash, and now I got to take the walk of shame. So that is frustrating, but now we'll fly some more. Micro V antenna. This is a rig that's running on double BT 2.0 with 2 of the stick 300 mAh tattoo batteries, actually. Pretty much the same thing as what we were just flying. The Tiny Whoop 2S battery is 300 mAh. Slightly different, you know, cell format. The look at all this bobbling, man. Why? The only thing I can think of is that this is on very lightweight biblade propellers, which I would think are pretty close in weight to the 1.6 inch biblades that were on the 75mm rig we were just flying. Even if they're a little bit heavier, this is a significantly bigger motor. This is well, I guess it's not that much of a bigger motor. This is an 1102 on the 75mm rig. We were on 803s, and so the problem could just be that these motors on this newbie drone rig are too small. But even if I was, there's another walk of shame. Even if I was to continue dialing this thing in, which I don't think I'm going to, this amount of slidiness, which you're going to really start to see here, is like the big reason that I'm just not. Look at that. Like look how it just goes sideways. It just, like, when you try to turn the thing, you gotta really dig it in with the roll to get it to actually change directions. Yeah, it feels way more out of control. It feels like you need a much bigger space than this, and this is only a 2.5 inch, right? Like, going up to look at that. Look at that. This is what a ducted rig will not do. Ready? Turn around, maintain momentum, it just won't stop. It just does not stop traveling. And I mean, I guess you could argue that an open prop 5-inch rig with a GoPro is kind of like this. It has that much momentum and that much slide. And so I guess you can use the argument, well, I want to fly these because I want to practice for 5-inch rigs. Look at that. Look at that slidiness. Look at it. It won't stop. And so if that's the deal, if you really are practicing for 5-inch, then yeah, sure. The toothpick rig, you're going to hate your life, taking the walk of shame all the time. But hey, if the goal is to have fun and to shoot cool gaps and make cool flight footage, boy, oh boy, the 75mm 2S rigs are something else. And I think you're going to be a lot happier with them. You can also fly them inside, something that you can't even dream of with a toothpick, or just generally like an open prop 2.5 inch or 3-inch rig. The other thing I noticed is this is the hover point is incredibly low, but then there's something going on with like the throttle. I have a little bit of throttle expo added in here, but like it jumps up in the air all the time. It's really hard to deal with the throttle resolution of this rig in comparison to the to a prop guarded ducted rig, whatever you want to call a Tiny Whoop. And so yeah, so I didn't expect that. I see. Look at that. Look at, it's like, so that's just a yaw move. Look how much elevation it creates here. Ready? Look at that, man. It's yeah. I mean, that could be response time related. It could be that I'm giving it a big hit of yaw, and then the PID loop is really having to work super hard to get it to rotate that much. In the process of doing so, it's going to create a lot of thrust. Here's another walk of shame. And so with more powerful motors that will offer a better response time, that situation might actually get a little bit better. See that like bouncing? It just, like, you get on the throttle and it just jumps up in the air and then it doesn't come back down. It's like very slow to come back down. So yeah. probably shouldn't have flown this back to back with such a ripper of, you know, this rig that we built Monday night. But still, like, if I'm gonna keep, if I'm gonna not sell something, it's gonna be like dialed, and it's gonna rip, and it's gonna fly really, really, really good for what it is. The starting point that I'm at with this rig right here, this is gonna take a lot of work to get it to a point where it flies good enough that I'm willing. Look at that slidiness up over the roof. There's another great example of it. Look at that. Look at that sideways momentum that it just continues to carry. Yeah, this would need a bunch of work to get it to where I'm happy with it. And then I'm still going to have to take the walk of shame every single time I crash, not in the street. And it's still going to have this flight characteristic of like sliding all over the place and just kind of in general. Look at it. Like, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to shoot that main gap, the main open gap in front of the bushes here. And the throttle resolution or lack thereof just completely catches me out. At this point, I just sort of had it and gave up. But yeah, I'm really tempted to try one more set of motors on here. The problem is that the JST 1.0 newbie drone specific kind of plugs. I'll have to get another set of motors and take the connectors off and solder another set of leads on. And I don't know if I'm willing to do that. I might end up just moving this along. I will be taking, if I sell this on the Etsy store, I will be taking this BLV5 AIO out of here and putting a BLV3 in it, which I've had really good luck with those in the tiny lifters. But other than that, it'll be pretty much set up exactly like this. Newbie drone 1102s. And for you know, when I see people flying toothpicks, this is how they fly. Like, this is me being picky as hell. But look, man, you should be picky as hell too. Rigs can be built to absolutely blast. There are people that like this super slidey flight experience that you get and the speed that you get from toothpicks. And that person would probably actually dig this. But I'm not that person, and I'm not gonna like. I'm okay not being that person. This is a super cool setup. The fact that you can run double 300 mAh batteries with the double BT 2.0 here, that's rad. That's super cool. You got one rig that you can fly on all your tiny whoop batteries. There's a lot of things that I kind of like about this, but now that I have this, I think I'm all right. I think I'm all right kind of letting this go. So yeah, maybe look out for this over on the Etsy store at some point here. Maybe not. I might keep it and throw another set of motors at it. But yeah, kind of interesting. Grey Hat says, I'm proud of you too. In reference to me remembering. 661 says I posted it in Discord. I think I found it, right? Trying to find my place in chat. YouTube did the thing, yada, yada, yada. Curtis Hayes says their customers all probably run frsky, so it's a path to the light. Yeah, right, exactly. Grey Hat says, have you tried Newbie Drone Venom V2 biblades? I have. They're amazing on the Air 65, not as good on heavier whoops like the Eco. I used to think that the Venom biblades were pretty decent, and then I saw Chris Rosser's tested them, and they did not do very well. And then I flew them again, and either the placebo was then gone, since the veil had been lifted, or the placebo was real, of like, I just saw somebody thrust stand test them, and they didn't do all that well. But yeah, I then flew them, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about these anymore. What's cool about them is that they come in green and purple, so they look super cool, and they're not that bad. But yeah, they don't. They're not as good as the Gemfan 1210 biblades. But they're okay. But one of my main complaints about all the newbie drone props is how unbelievably undersized the inner diameter of the prop hole is. But you should have a drill bit to drill them out by now. I've got a ton of those up on my Etsy store. CiottiFPV.com has a million ways you can support me. This is a totally crowdfunded thing. I need your help to be able to keep doing this full time forever. Jump on board. Come to the Gangly Gang, my friends. You're gonna love it. We have cookies and lots of actual good info rather than just random 50+% wrong info that you'll find on Reddit and Facebook groups. And so, yeah, join the Patreon. That's the best way that you can support me. Speaking of, Midnight Jesus just jumped onto the Patreon. Welcome to the Gangly Gang, brother. Thank you for the support. And then there was another one that I saw. Who was it? Diano 1964. Welcome to the Gangly Gang, brother. Thank you for joining the Patreon. There's also a ton of affiliate links over on CiottiFPV.com. There's a link to my Etsy store with lots of stuff for sale. More every couple days. A link to my Fiverr where you can work one-on-one with me. Take advantage of over 8 years of experience. Ask me every single burning FPV question that you've ever had, and I'll hit you with answers, actual factual answers to all of them. Or you can let me drive. I can work you through a build, how to tune, and or flight instruction. If you want to fly better and you want to fly better right now, you got to get an instructor. It's like that with anything. I went to these. I started going to these couples dance classes 6 months ago, and there are instructors, but it's group-led instruction, right? There's 30, 40, 50 of us, and so we're only really getting 5% of the instructor's time. About a month or two ago, I started doing private lessons with one of the instructors from there on Tuesday nights, and I have learned more in those private instruction sessions in the last month than I have in the last 6 months. It's just unbelievable, but it makes sense, right? Like if I go for an hour and there's 50 other people, I'm going to get 5 minutes sum total of that instructor's actual attention, right? Whereas with a private lesson, I get the full 60 minutes, right? And they're tweaking things and move this here, move that there. Don't do this, don't do that, don't step off on the side, don't take such a big step. All these things, and you just get all of those things condensed down. Yes, you have to pay for that, but how much time would you have spent and or money would you have spent in the other scenario to get it over a 6-month period, right? And so that's one of the really awesome things about working with me on Fiverr is that, yes, you're going to have to pay me, but you're going to get a ton of information all at once, specifically catered to you. And that's going to help you buy better stuff, fly better, build better, whatever. So there you go. Work with me on Fiverr. You'll learn a ton, I promise. Everybody that I've been doing these Fiverr sessions for a couple of years now. And I've yet to have somebody I don't feel like I learned anything. Because Fiverr will offer you refunds and shit like that. Every single one I've ever done, it's just yo, wow, this is awesome. I learned a shitload. And this was very cool. Why did that happen? What? This computer is running awful weird. So yeah, there you go. There's a whole bunch of affiliate links over there too. Replace your bookmarks with affiliate links. Support people. It won't cost you anything with affiliate links. Do it. James Thomas says, have you looked at the GEPRC Taker and Flywoo GOKU AIOs 2S and 12 amp both at Get FPV? I've definitely looked at one of those two. And it was $100 or $110. I was just yeah, that's a bit much. GEPRC Taker. Let's type AIO. This must be it. So this is 80, which is admittedly a lot. but not that bad. I can already see the problem. There's only one antenna set up here, so this either doesn't have a VTX or it doesn't have ELRS. It does have ELRS, so it does not have a VTX. So this would be a good choice for a digital build. But for an analog build, I would not do this because there are other options that have the analog VTX built right in. And yeah, I mean, it just... So yeah, this might be a good option for a walk snail or an HD0 build. And then the other one, the GOKU, must be the one that's super expensive. Let's take a look. Yep, $105. That's too much. That's just too much money for a tiny whoop, especially when the X12 and the HDLRC Spectre are available at like... Christ, the X12 might only be like $60. I forget. Yeah, look at that. 63 or 70. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it holds up though. If the HDLRC Spectre and the X12 both blow up prematurely, maybe this is what we have to do. Maybe this is the way to go. But for right now, as I usually do, I'm going to check out the cheaper options. Also, this forces you to direct solder the motors, which sucks a big bag of donkey dicks. So yeah, I hate that about this. But now that we're getting up into the higher powered rigs, that is going to help a little bit more. It just makes it such a pain in the ass to work on. So yeah, we'll see. If we need to, maybe that'll be an option that we go with. But for now, it's awful expensive. Grey Hat says, can you briefly contrast your 2S Whoop versus the stock Newbie Drone 75 BLV5? Oh God, just wait. The Newbie Drone BLV5 on the 0804 motors, I couldn't believe how good it flew for how heavy it was. And now I totally get it. It's just because 2S is nuts. And it's the right voltage for these 75mm freestyle outdoor rigs. And so even though it was heavy, here's a better comparison. The better comparison is that versus this. And it's actually, I really prefer it. The Newbie Drone BLV5 with the ducts on the 804s, even though it's super heavy, it was still much more fun to fly out in front of the house than this, just because of the prop guards, just because when you look at a cross section of this, of course this is going to slide all over the place. There is very little wind resistance here. So you're flying and you turn, of course it's just going to keep going this way. It's not going to want to dig in and turn. So like with this, in order to turn, you're going to have to go like that, and you're going to have to bank and yank the damn thing like it's an RC model airplane. Whereas a tiny whoop has much more of a vertical sort of cross-sectional area, so that when you come up here, you can turn this thing flat and it'll slow down and it'll actually dig in. You don't have to go into it like that. And flying in and then doing this sort of flat, that's just the better looking way of doing it, right? That is a way of flying that like people other than FPV pilots are going to be able to watch it and not get nauseous. When you do all this rolling, that's when people that are watching your videos go, oh my God, it's making me dizzy. And so, yeah, the Newbie Drone BLV5 for what it is shockingly good. I would much rather have it. I would much rather fly that around than this. When you custom build something like this, that's like, this is probably 15 to 20 grams lighter. It's just nuts. I mean, the runtime goes through the roof. The agility goes through the roof. The power to weight ratio goes through the roof. This has like all the benefits of a 1S 75 out in front of the house, but like it feels like it has triple the power and response time and authority and just like it just feels right. It just absolutely feels right. And I've been missing that. I've had 75 millimeter rigs that are like kind of sort of close a little bit, but this is really the first time that it was just like, yo, this thing rails. And when you have that rig that blasts like that, you can do anything. That's when you get that experience of like, yo, this is it. This is FPV, man. Like I can I can shoot any gap, I can do any dive, I can blast up over this tree. Like there's so much freedom in that. And what's super funny about it is like you stop thinking about the build and you just fly, right? Like when you have these underpowered builds that are kind of sloppy, it's like you never forget that you're flying a tiny whoop the whole time. This ain't like that, and that's what has me like super excited, because you can just get outside and blast, and it fits the size of the front back side of your house. Totally safe, totally quiet. Nobody's ever gonna get pissed. Dude, I can't wait to bring this shit everywhere, right? To bring this to downtown, dive every single building in sight with it, bring it like everywhere. Bring this everywhere. Quiet enough to fly around people, safe enough to fly around people, but then it's got the power to go ripping all over the place. ELRS is going to give you shitloads of range. Put a nice micro V antenna up here that's all up on top of the canopy, and you'll get great video range. Smack it up to 400 milliwatts, the YOLO setting, and yeah, magic. I can't wait to build another one. The one we build tonight's going to be even lighter. It's going to be on 802 19,000s. We'll see how 802s do. They might be a little bit too small of a motor, but I'm looking forward to finding out. What I can say is that these sub 250 803 19,000s with a bunch of motor limiting rock. I did not like these motors on the walk snail rig because of the extra weight, but on an analog rig, these 803s are something special. I think that the 802s will be almost as good. We'll see. FamG Thrills says that's a nice place. Thank you, dude. Not that I keep it from falling down, but this is Maggie's house. Cheetonian says Brandon's Baked Beans told me V3 frame has too much blocking the prop flow. Maybe try a V4 frame on this to see if that's the issue that you're having. Unfortunately, the V4 frame is super limited with 2S because it pulls the battery up so high. If I put an external analog VTX on the Beta FPV 12 amp AIO that doesn't have the USB port, I can use this frame. And I just realized that I put these motors into this frame. So I either have to take these motors out and put them into a V3 frame, or I actually do need to use this. All right, maybe we're not doing an X12 tonight. No, the X12 is going to be so much. We're going to do an X12 tonight in the V3 frame with the T-Motor 1102s, because that's a build that I know I can get done. If I start dicking around with this other build, it might not get done, and I want to have a second rig that's ready to go. This will be cool. We already had people asking me to compare the 803s on this one to the 1002s, and so this will get that going. And then the third build that I do will be on the V4 frame with 802s, and it'll be super lightweight, and we'll see. So what I've got right now is like the middle weight. The rig that we build tonight is going to be the heavy one with the 1002s. And then the third build that we do probably on Friday will be on the 802s with the V4 frame. And yeah, we'll see what's what. Cool. Midnight Jesus says, I'm on my second X12 for that toothpick. First one I had a bad OSD chip. The OSD isn't working on the new one after flying it 4 times. No idea why. Reflashing doesn't work. The OSD tab doesn't even show up in Betaflight. I know it's super obvious, but make sure in the configuration tab of Betaflight you have the OSD switch turned on. That's weird. OSD is usually pretty solid. OSD doesn't usually fail. It certainly can, and I've certainly had OSD chips fail on me over the years, but super rare. Brandon's Big Bean says, what props on the toothpick? These are the HQ super lightweight 2.5-inch bi-blades. They don't really have anything stamped on them. I think they're called like 65S or something, maybe. 65-1. That's it. They should not have it -1. It should be -2. Yeah, HQ 65-1. I also flew this on the GEM-fan version of this, ultra lightweight toothpick bi-blade prop, and it was really exactly the same. I think the issue with this rig is that these 1102s are a little bit too small. But the flight characteristic, the slidiness, right? That flight characteristic, I just don't like. I just don't like it for flying out in front of the house. And there's not a motor. Going to a more powerful motor is actually going to make that worse because it's going to become heavier and then it's going to have more momentum. And so, yeah. Yeah. I mean, technically, I guess I could go to a tri-blade on here that would help that situation out a little bit. But then I would have to go to way bigger motors to be able to control that heavy of a propeller. These props are very lightweight, and the response time is already kind of shit. So going to a tri-blade would make the response time situation way worse. And it would slide a little bit less. But yeah, it's still not gonna... It's also still not going to turtle mode. And every single time, not every single time, but more often than not, when I crash it, I'm going to have to walk and get it. And that's just, yeah. Yeah. And it's still going to be really fast, which I don't necessarily love. Yeah, I don't know. Gray Hat says, I 3D printed a doggy door for my screened-in second floor office window. Put a drone out on the roof, land it, fly it back to the roof. I use a grabber to get it off the roof. That's super cool. That's fun. Gray Hat also says, I have some 1202.5s, too big for the toothpick. No, that'd probably be about right. 1202.5s would be probably just, maybe still a little bit small, but certainly better than these 1102s. King Dingling says, are those the 64mm bi-blades that are notoriously hard to tune? I wouldn't think so. Propellers that are hard to tune, what that basically means is that that's an out-of-balance propeller. These are balanced just fine. I've been able to crank the tune up more and more and more. You even saw it in some of that flight footage, me turning the tune up. And it's coming around a little bit. As I turn the tune up more and more, it gets a little bit better, but again, that doesn't help with the fact that it doesn't like to change directions, unless you roll way into it and fly it like a yank and bank aircraft. King Midnight Jesus says, just join the Patreon. Thank you, brother. Welcome to the gang. Gray Hat says, don't get me started on wrong answers on Facebook. Oh my. Yeah, be really careful, guys. Facebook is filled with just dumbness. Teleport FPV says, is there a flexible connection for using patch antennas on goggles? Yeah, there is they make this little short extension piece thing that is kind of bendy. I prefer just a 45-degree angle or 90-degree angle jib jab. Solid little piece. The little bendy things, it ends up putting the patch antenna like way out here because you got to run it out, and it's just like insane. Almost always the receiver is going to be oriented either 90 degrees from the front or 45 degrees, like that, and then you can just run one of those two, and then that way your patch is hard mounted. It's not going to move around. That also makes the goggles a lot easier to put into a bag. With that big long bendy thing coming off, you're gonna have to take that off and on every single time you put it into your bag. And SMA connectors have a lifespan. If you are constantly taking those off on, eventually that is going to wear out. With a setup like what I've got, it's usually compact enough where you can just put it into your bag like this. I don't take these out. All I do is very lightly loosen this so that I can rotate it out of the way, and now I can just drop it right into my bag like this. So I'm putting zero wear on these SMA connectors, which does matter. That's been proven time and time again that these SMAs do fail, and it's hard to tell because they fail gradually. So they'll just like gradually get worse and worse and worse over a few month period, and then one day you're like, why the hell is why can't I see where the hell I'm going? Grey Hat says CiottiFPV helped me with coloring in my first commercial product. Yeah, Grey Hat and I had an awesome session where we dove into editing and all kinds of good stuff. So yeah, I guess I don't have that up on my Fiverr. I don't consider myself to be a very good video editor. I'm certainly better than most, but it's just not my thing. I just don't really like video editing. I've been forced to learn, and I've picked up some tips here and there. I'm on the technical side of it, I'm really not good. On the like creative side of it and the like what clips match up with other clips, I'm actually really, really good. And that's, in my opinion, where you should be focusing on your editing anyway, right? Like diving into the technical side of it and learning like all these like super cool transitions and effects and shit like that. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's like that can look like kind of amateurish, like you're relying on all this fancy shit. The when you look at like really professional stuff, it doesn't have a lot of that going on. It has clips that are chopped down to the perfect length and like sequenced in a way that either tells a story or is just easy to watch. And I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at imparting that and helping people out with that. So yeah, that's something I can help you guys out with as well. Level 1 Drone says, thoughts on adding a 1080p DVR on a 75 2S rig instead of the heavier HD walk snail or HD0 rig. Flight video is still analog, but onboard recording would be better. Does it make sense to try that? Yeah, they've got plenty of power now, and so yeah, the only pain in the ass there is the wiring it up, and yeah, you're gonna have to like put it in line between the camera and the AIO, I guess. It's just gonna make the build a lot more complicated. Whereas, you know, the goggle DVR is usually kind of good enough. But yeah, that would be great. I've done it before, and where I landed on it was that it's not better enough than the goggle DVR to warrant the extra work of putting it in there, and then the extra weight and whatnot. So that's kind of where I landed on it. But to each his or her own. That would be great. It would look better for sure than the goggle analog with zero breakup, obviously. And so if you're down for the build process, then yeah, that'll be better than what I'm going to be building. Grey Hat says, one of my motors on my BLV5 blew up. I'm going to drop a new set in. Don't buy them. Oh, okay. Do you like 1002 or 1103 or 803 to replace? I was going to say don't buy them. I will sell you mine really cheap. I have my 804s that I pulled off of mine that at some point are going to make it up onto the Etsy store. But so if you just want a replacement motor, I will absolutely sell you those super cheap. I don't know on the motors yet. Well, so if you're putting it onto your BLV5, which is a fat bastard, that rig is as heavy as my walk snail rig, so you can just follow the motor testing that I've already done on the Thi2s 75mm motor to motor walk snail build. And the long and short of that testing is I landed on the RC and Power 1002 18 or 19,000s, whatever the hell they are. These were the best mix of all the things. In a very close second, though, were the Beta FPV 1102s. And again, that is a big-ass heavy rig. So go with these. Go with these Beta FPV 1102 18,000s. These are what you want. Don't do the RC and Powers. The RC and Powers are going to be better if you're a little bit lighter, but I'm actually pretty sure that rig, now that I think about it, is significantly heavier than my walk snail build was. And when I had the 1102s on the walk snail build, they were awesome. They were almost too much, which is why I went down to the RC and Powers, and then they were fine, and yada yada yada. But yeah, for that rig, do the Beta 1102s. That thing is mega 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 heavy. And what's cool about that too is that you could turn that build very easily into like some kind of a tiny lifter-ish setup. And if you do that down the road, you're going to really love the 1102s. My walk snail rig will never carry any additional weight, so it makes sense for me to drop down to the 1002 to try to save every fraction of a gram that I possibly can, because it is what it is. I'm never going to try to pick up anything extra with it. So yeah, there you go. James Thomas says, so am I off in thinking the new HD0 flight controller is several steps backwards, being SPI? I'm almost thinking no-go. Am I wrong, or is it worth the SPI BS? I have zero problem with SPI, so long as I can plug and unplug the battery 3 times to put it into bind mode. I actually really prefer... Look, the first time that you show up at a gig and you put a battery on your rig and it's not bound, everything changes, because like it was bound the day before when you tested it in your yard, and now all of a sudden, I'm looking at you, TBS, for whatever reason, Crossfire has unbound itself. That sucks. And so the ability to plug and unplug a battery 3 times to put a rig into bind mode, that is magic. That works no matter where you are, no matter who you're with, no matter what temperature it is. You fucking plug the battery in 3 times and you rebind it, and all is right with the world. The fact that everybody is not doing that is the dumbest thing ever. And so, yeah, most AIOs have that ability. Most AIOs, you plug and unplug 3 times, and you're good. The reason I was getting kind of pissed at the end of the stream the other night is that for no reason whatsoever, the HDLRC Spectre doesn't do that. Also, the bind button on the board doesn't work. And so, yeah. I don't really care, to be honest, about SPI versus UART, as long as I can either plug and unplug, or there's a binding phrase. With UART based, you're going to have the binding phrase. So yeah, the SPI thing does not bother me at all, right up until the point that it's a pain in the ass to get into bind mode. But as far as I'm concerned, every single ELRS, everything should give you that ability. It's just easy, and it just works. And you don't have to have a laptop. You don't have to have a tiny little thing to push a button. You don't have to fucking enable Wi-Fi mode. You don't have to wait 60 seconds for it to go into Wi-Fi. Like, come on. Midnight Jesus says, I do. It's really weird. What were we talking about? Midnight Jesus says, just join the Patreon. Is that what that was in reference to? I forget what we were talking about. That was at 10:51. 20 minutes ago. Yeah, no wonder I don't remember. Major Erickson says I have similar problems binding my X12 with ELRS, where it binds for a second, then quits. Already tried to refresh. Do you remember how you fixed it? I think I fixed it by it had gone into either UART or SPI mode, and it needed to be on the other one. So if it's in, so yeah, switch it up. If it's in the receivers tab, if it's on Crossfire with UART based, switch it over to SPI. I'm pretty sure the X12 is an SPI. Hopefully that'll fix it. Cheetonian says, I'm using X12 in V4 using the gummies that are longer on one side, extra half gummy all around, long screws, USB is spaced far enough to clear the battery. Oh, interesting. Let's see. I do not have... Oh, these are slightly taller. Let's take a quick look. This is me putting it into a Mobula 7 V4 frame. Let's see how high it has to be in order for the USB port not to hit the battery. So, oh wow, there is more clearance there than I thought. I don't have it pushed all the way down yet. Hold on. Now it's pushed all the way down. Okay, yeah, now there's not enough clearance. Now there's nowhere near enough clearance. Jesus. All right, so if I start pushing it up, I'll just stop pushing it up when the USB port is clear. Okay, so the USB port is now clear. Yeah, that's gonna need a big grommet. I mean, I have the Beta FPV 12 amp. I'm gonna use that in this, but yeah, with Happy Model has these rubber grommets that are very tall on one side. They're the regular height on one side. They're very tall on the other side. I'm going to grab one of them and show you guys. All right, so here's what they look like. If you have a set of these grommets, covet them. They're not super common. But that is basically what it looks like. If you have a grommet that is this tall on one side, you might be able to get away with it. There you go. And so, yeah, that's what Cheetonian's talking about. My only worry about doing that is that it lifts everything up so high, and it's going to make the posts that you're screwing the canopy into a little bit weaker. Probably still be okay, but I've ripped a lot of these posts off of these frames on 75mm builds, which is super annoying because then you have to pull the entire thing apart, right? Motors have to come off, everything has to come out of there. It's like a base plate breaking on a carbon fiber rig. It's like, you know, gee, thanks. That just created hours worth of work. In this case, it's not hours, but still, it's like the most possible work you have to do. LOL the Kiddison says, starting to fly a lot in the house from the cold weather. What is the crash mode called again? Crash recovery, and I'm gonna super ultra hook you up and drop a chunk of text into the chat just now with my crash recovery settings. These will not work perfectly, but they will get you in the ballpark. For anybody that doesn't have the chat, here it is. These are the crash recovery settings that I use that work perfect for the way that I fly, how hard I crash, and what my rates are. You're going to fly different, you're going to crash different, and you're going to have different rates than me, so you might need to change these. You might not. This might drop in and just work perfectly for you. But fair warning, you might need to change this if you have rates that are faster or slower than mine, and or you fly differently than me, which you obviously do, because you're a different person. But yeah, those settings are the default set. You can just go in and turn crash recovery on. The default settings though are overly aggressive, and crash recovery will trigger when you don't want it to. And so those settings are me backing it off so that it turns on less often, so that it never turns on when I don't want it to, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't know how else to explain it. Cheetonian says, was that a stock red cover on the HD0 analog module? Doesn't ship with a cover anymore. Unfortunately, I've crappy 3D printed. This is just the rapid fire cover that comes with the rapid fire receiver that you buy. Does it not? Are you saying that the rapid fires don't come with that anymore? That's super sad. I don't love it though. It doesn't slot perfectly into the HD0 module bay thing, and I've had that module pop off before. So your 3D printed one is actually potentially better, if that makes you feel any better. Demo FPV says, hey. He also says, how small of a drone for a 360 Go? It depends on which one. The Insta360 Go 1 was only 19 grams. I was able to pick that up with a 65mm rig for a little while. The Insta360 Go 2 is 26 grams. That's going to need a 75mm rig and 2S. The Insta360 Go 3 and 3S or Plus or whatever the hell they call that 4K one, those are up in like the mid to high 30-gram range. I don't think you're going to want to pick them up on a 75mm rig. The tiny lifters are already like really struggling to pick up the 26-gram Insta360 Go 2. So I think for the new 30+ gram goes, you're going to need to go all the way up to a 2-inch rig. And I don't really know how to guide you there. I haven't gone down that path quite yet. I will be, but we're focusing on the 75mm stuff for a little bit longer here, because there's a lot of potential here. Gray Hat says, I'm using motors I have on hand, 1103 or 1002. 1103. Are you doing I think you're doing a 75mm 2S analog build? If so, 1002. 1002. Teleport FPV says, I really get a kick out of flying and helping people get flying if I can. Do you still enjoy it? Very much so. I don't enjoy getting new people up in the air. I enjoy helping people fly better, helping people understand all of the things that are borderline unintelligible. I still absolutely love flying. I'm very picky though with my flying. I do not enjoy flying rigs that fly like shit. In order for me to enjoy flying, I have to be able to fly. I have no interest in flying the rig because it kind of flies like shit and it's a mess and I gotta like make it work. That's annoying to me because I'm not flying. Does that make sense? Like, I'm flying a drone. I'm not as into flying drones. I'm into flying. And so 5 seconds into this being up in the air earlier today, the fact that I was flying this drone went completely away, and I just started to fly, and then I had to remind myself, like, oh right, yeah, the first battery that I flew, actually, I didn't say a word, and then the second battery that I flew, I had to remind myself, like, hey, talk to the DVR. The HD0 goggles have a microphone built in, and then I actually have a little external mic here. And so in all of these DVR files, it's super handy to have the live audio, because at the beginning of every battery, I'll say like, hey, this is the 75mm 2S rig on the 803s, blah, 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 blah. I was just tuning it, or I wasn't tuning it, or whatever. And like when I pull that flight file up a month later, having that audio is super valuable for me. But yeah, like I said, the first battery that I flew on this, I was just dead silent the entire time. And that's a good thing. Like if I'm dead silent, that means that I am flying. I'm not flying a drone. If I'm flying a drone, I'm going to be talking. I'm going to be like, oh, what the hell happened there? I guess I got to do this. So yeah, there's a funny little example of that. I also really enjoy flying stuff that we didn't necessarily like. This is super cool because like I don't think many people knew that an analog 75 mil 2S rig is this magic. I'm sure that some people know, and I'm sure that some people have actually even told me it, and I probably went like, nah, 1S is okay. I want to keep the weight down. And to those people, you were right. I was wrong. So yeah, there's that. Grey Hat says SBI can't do 3-plug integrated UART. Can bind phrases work with both? Bind phrase lets you use 2 radios with your whole fleet if you want. Yeah, bind phrases are great. Don't get me wrong. The 3-plug thing is awesome. SPI can't do 3-plug. Really? All of the beta FPV AIOs do 3-plug. I thought that they were SPI. Are they not SPI? Let's give that a second to pop up. Martin Tanley says, do you motor limit your 30,000 kV motors on your 5 amp boards, or when does one need to, depending on the build? Thanks. I do not motor limit all the way up to 40,000 kV on 5 amp, and it's totally fine. What you want to remember is it's 5 amps per channel, so 20 amps total. And these tiny little motors and these tiny little 1S batteries, they're not going to pull much above 20 amps. Even if they do pull above 20 amps, that rating is a constant rating. So you can run 20 amps the whole battery. You won't, but you could. There's a burst rating, which is probably 6 or 7 amps. And so if you go full throttle for like a half a second, you'll be in that burst rating and you'll be fine. The burst ratings will usually be anywhere between like 2 and 8 seconds. So you can, yeah, 5 amp is very deceiving. Realistically, and if you do a full throttle burst for only a half a second and then you don't do another full throttle burst for like 5 or 6 or 10 extra seconds, those FETs have had plenty of time to cool back down. You could really overdrive them. You could push 30, 40 amps through those 5 amp FETs as long as you just did it for a tiny little bit of time. So yeah, ESC ratings are a bit of a mess. Like this 5-inch rigs with like 60 amp ESCs, that's the dumbest thing ever. There's not a 5 amp drivetrain or battery on Earth that's going to pull 240 amps total. It just doesn't exist. Most of them don't go over much over 100 amps. So yeah, keep that in mind. This is the beta Donkey Donk. Oh, look at that. It is UART. I didn't even realize that. Huh. Well, fair enough. Learn something every day. Well then, if SPI can't do 3 plugs, that is a little bit annoying. But binding phrases are pretty easy to use. So. Nate Adams says, pro tip for anyone using Adobe Creative Cloud, their Black Friday pricing is available, $30 for all apps. If you're already, you can modify a plan to Premiere Pro only, then use the discount. Dude, good call. I wonder what the process will be of somebody that's already on there switching. Okay. What? There we go. Cool. I'm going to check that out. Christopher Robbins says, have you tried the jhemcu elrs AIO? Kind of looks like an X12. I have not. Who sells it? Chris. And yeah, Yeah, just who sells it. What website sells it? Well, let's just try this. Hold on. jhemcu AIO. Let's just see what comes up. 1 to 2S. This would probably be it. That's on AliExpress though. Hold on. 40 amp. No, that ain't it. Ah, fuck it. We'll open it up on AliExpress. See what's what. Look at that. So where are the UFL ports for either ELRS or video? So this has neither. This has neither. No, it does say ELRS. So I guess it's got just an antenna stick. What? Where the hell's? Oh, they're using this stupid flat antenna. I think. I think this is the ELRS antenna here. Beta FPV tried to use these flat antennas and they moved away from them. They just don't work good enough. I would not recommend this. A, it doesn't have a VTX built in, and that's just kind of silly. But B, it doesn't look like it has a proper ELRS, either a UFL port or IPEX port or a piece of wire antenna. So yeah, I would not. I would stay away from this. Grey Hat says, I'll print you a rapid fire cover in a color I call Ciotti Purple. Purple, it's like a blend of your red and purple, and then it will fit better. And yes, rapid fire does not ship with covers. That sucks. Found that after ordering one from Orca. To be honest, I'm going to stick with that red cover because I got the whole like red and white thing sort of going on with it. I do appreciate it, but I mean, if you still want to send it, I'll certainly fart around with it because I think there's a specific HD0 cover, if I'm not mistaken. But fair warning, I'm probably going to stick with this red cover just to stick with the whole red and white theme here. What is that purple? Is it the Chaos purple? The KAOS purple? Out of curiosity. Greyhead also says, turns out the Pavo 20 flies fine on stock with 4S, even though it's only rated for 3S. Talk of ESC ratings make me remember. It screams on 4S. Careful. If it's only rated for 3S, it will probably not last very long on 4S. That we've seen that before in the past. Stuff that's like 2S or 3S. It's like, oh, it works fine on 4S. Like 4 batteries in, it's on fire. So just be careful. Christopher Robbins says there's an ELRS version of it. Okay, cool. That's in reference to the jhemcu, but there's still no VTX on board, which is not a deal breaker, but yeah, that makes the oh, you'll see the perfect purple when you open the package. Perfect. I'm caught up on the chat, which means Grey Hat sent me a box and specifically asked that I remember it during a live stream. So either a snake is going to pop out and bite me in the face and kill me, which is fine, or there's something cool in here. Sounds like there's something 3D printed in here from the conversation that we just had. Teleport FPV with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much for supporting me, my friend. He says, this is for the goggle question you answered. Thanks. You're certainly welcome, man. Preston Roach says, is the Super X 12 amp AIO good for 2S? I don't know yet. I'll let you know sooner than later. Timon sent me one to test. I just haven't had a chance to test it yet. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Whoa! Okay. Holy hell. There is a lot of 3D printed stuff. This is one of those cool iridescent purples. Okay. So we've got some... These almost look like Carcassonne tiles or something like that. They're hexagonal little jibby-jabbies. What do we got here? This might be... My guess is that these might be stands to put the tiny whoops on. That's my current guess. What else we got here? Yeah, that's what I think these might be. Although this bag is now throwing me off the scent a little bit. Dude, very cool. Thank you. Oh, now this is totally throwing me off the scent. A lot of them are little, they're not octagons, they're hexagons. They're 6-sided. Oh, look at that. Look at that skinny ass frame. What is that? Look at that cool green carbon fiber. Look at how skinny and long this frame is. What is this? I have no idea what this frame is. Well, it's Fox-Ear because that's the Fox-Ear logo there. So it's a Fox-Ear frame. That is a wild looking frame. That looks like a 4-inch frame. Ooh, those arms are bendy. They're 3-inch thick, but they are very, very skinny. So this strikes me as like a long range rig, maybe like a 4-inch long range rig. It's got a little pocket in the back here for the GPS. And then just with how thin the arms are, it would make sense for this to be a long range. 5-inch actually. Wow. Gray Hat says Fox-Ear Aura Light 5-inch. Jesus Christ. That does not look like it would clear a 5-inch propeller. But yeah, so this is a long range rig. This is an ultra lightweight 5-inch long range rig. What an interesting frame. That green carbon fiber looks awesome. It really shows up nice on the camera. In person, it's not as green unless I get it to catch the light. It kind of looks like this. Well, it kind of looks like that in person to me, but then when I give you guys a direct reflection, it really lights up green. That is gorgeous. Dude, very cool. What are these 3D printed pieces though? Maybe they have to do with something else that's in here? I'm gonna keep digging. Get out of here. What do we got? Alright, hold on. I'm making a mess. Hold on. Almost dropped it. Alright, let's see. Oh, I know what this is. I know what this is. So this is... I actually just saw this somewhere. These are wall mount tiles that these guys must snap into, and then they act as hooks to hang stuff on. Damn, dude, very cool. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yo, that's slick. I have pegboard on the on my workbench out in the garage. I might switch that over to this. I need to figure out how to hang these. How do you mount these? There might be. Oh, I bet you can mount them with these guys. Oh, dude, very cool. Somebody it was probably you, was telling me about this in chat at one point. All right, hold on. So let me just get this the rest of the way out, and then we'll see how some of these things snap in. I'm super interested to see how these guys snap into these. Dude, awesome. Very, very cool. You've got a 3D printer with a big old bed to be able to print these, I guess, right? This is... Yeah, these are like twice the size of the bed that's on my little Bamboo A1 that one of these days I'll plug into power and turn on. Grey Hat says, look at your Discord DM for a pic a video with mounting. Very fucking cool. Alright, hold on, let's see. I want to see how these guys snap into these things. Let's see here. So, a lot of them look like this. And so, I'm assuming that... Is that concave or convex? I'm assuming that you would go... like that. Yeah, okay. So you can just send a screw right through the middle of that, and then this locks in really nice. Ooh, cool. Okay. So that's what these guys are, and then some of these are doubled up. Is this meant to be... No, this is not meant to be snapped apart. So some of these are doubled. I guess you... Oh, that links them together. Okay. Yep, so the doubles... hold on. Nope, I was right. Yeah, so the double ones will connect between the two of them, I'm assuming, right? Yep. Yep, so that doubles up, and then so you just, mount all the way up in the corners. and then connect them all together. That's rad. And then what else do we have? We've got this thing. What does this thing do? What are you, little guy? What do you do? You go up on top, maybe? Oh, I don't know what this guy does. I don't know what that one's for. We got... Okay, some of these little guys. All right, this makes sense. This guy fits in here, I'll bet. No. Where does this guy fit? This guy goes in there, maybe? In there? And then there's a bunch of these little shorter 90s. That looks like this. Okay, so that's a screw down through there. I get it. So that screws in, and it gives you a little hook. Yo, this is slick, dude. Thank you. This is very, very cool. Oh, here's something. Here's a different looking thing. Let's see what this is. This guy. Okay, this guy, I betcha. That looks... Nope. You probably have these bagged in a way that makes sense, so I'll stay in this same bag. Okay, here. This guy's... yeah. Okay, so this guy snaps in, and then this goes in there, and that looks like a hook to me, right? It sits in there, and then you can just hook stuff up on there. Very cool. Or maybe it goes in this side, or maybe it goes in this way. Here it is. Yep, there it is. Goes in like that. So that guy snaps in, and then you got this little thing you can hang tools or whatever in there. Dude, awesome. This is very cool. Yeah, a whole bunch of hooks in this one. What about this bag here? This bag is a ton of the singles and doubles. Yep, this is all singles and doubles, it looks like. And then this bag has a bunch more hooks as well. Let's take a look at these. So these are bigger hooks. It says KYZ on it. How do these hooks mount? So obviously it's going to sit like that. And maybe it just snaps in, I think. I think so. Yeah. I can see it. It just pops in there. I don't want to break this. Wait, no, I got it backwards. There we go. That'll probably do it. So it just drops in like that. Yeah, I can see it. This is going to hook up with that. And then it sits in there like that. Dude. Fucking cool. How does that sit? Wait, no, maybe they're supposed to mount like this. Does it hook? Oh, okay, I see. Maybe? Hooks on like that? I'm starting to push kind of hard. I'm worried it's going to blow up. But I will check out. Is this... Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I just had to push ever so slightly harder. That's awesome. So it mounts... I was thinking it was the other way. It mounts with the skinny side here towards the wall. And then this would be the front, the thicker side, because that's how this thing clips in. That's cool. That's how they kind of clip into the things, I guess. Ooh, boy. How strong is this? Is this going to break? I'm pulling on this pretty good. Is it going to blow up? Nope. That's good. Yeah, there's the thickness here where it clips in is the same as... That's hard to show you, but just take my word for it. Dude, very cool. This is rad. And then some more of these little pluggy boys in this guy. Do these fit better from the back now that I've figured out what the front and what the back is? They sure do. Yeah, okay. Oh, and they snap in. That's... Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yo! Very cool. Dude, thank you. This is a ton of 3D printing. I assume this took a hell of a long time. Much appreciated. Yeah, I think that that pegboard is going to get this laid on top of it, because then that pegboard sucks, dude. Those things fall out all the time, and like that workbench is not solid anyway. And then with like the pegboard in it, like if I'm working on there, the whole thing starts to rock back and forth, and there's fucking tools falling off. It's just a goddamn nightmare. I think this is gonna have to either, I guess I'll just drill this right into the pegboard maybe, or maybe not. Maybe I'll put something on the front of it so it's not like pegboard and then this on top. Man, thank you. This is super cool. Super, super, super cool. Hold on, let me get these all to line up properly. This is important. Hold on, this is important. They must line up properly. If you've ever wondered what a photography grid looks like, that's basically what we're doing here. Okay. I guess some of them just aren't going to line up. I think some of them are meant for the edges or something like that. That's interesting. Or I'm just not holding them up right. Yeah, no. Oh. Got it. Got it. Got it. There it is. There it is. This is basically a photography grid right here. What's magic about that, how grids work, is they let all the light through when you're looking at them straight ahead, but then if you turn them a little bit, you get no light coming through. So they'll send, that's what I have up here. Right, so like at enough of an angle, yeah, that's a pretty shallow grid that I have on those, but you can see the left one is a lot dimmer than the right one, but then as you come around, the grid gets out of the way and all the light comes through. So it's a way to control spill. It gives you a lot more light straight ahead, but not a lot of spill. And so I use these grids, and I have these lights tilted down a bunch to keep the light off the back wall. And so that, and that's what I use the grid for. And that's, yeah, this would be a very aggressive grid right here. This would, they spec grids in terms of degrees. So like these grids here are probably like 60 degree. This would be an example of a 10 degree grid because it's just like super, super focused, straightforward with like very little spill. Dude, very cool, man. Thank you so much. This is going to, this is also going to look really cool. These are just super cool looking, especially when they're all lined up next to each other. Awesome. Thank you, brother. Damn. Super generous. Okay. Look at this wacky frame too. Man, what a gangly frame. This should be called the gangly frame, yo. This is the gangly frame. Shit. Look at that. I love that green carbon fiber. Oh. I've always wanted to get colored carbon fiber, but the pictures that I see on the websites never look all that great. It's certainly not as cool as this looks in person. So next time I have a chance to order colored carbon fiber, I am actually going to order it because that is awesome, 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 awesome looking. Thank you, dude. Super cool. Cheatonian says VTX and ELRS UFLs. What's that in reference to? Curtis Hayes says there's a front and a back to those. You need to make sure you follow this video to get it right before you start putting them up incorrectly. Caliper holder. There are M3 inserts. Ah, okay. M3 inserts would make sense for those screw holes that were in some of those. Grey Hat says putting in is way easier when it's on the wall. That would make sense. Grey Hat also says they tessellate perfectly, flat part on top. I've never heard the word tessellate. Is that a real thing? Tessellate. Look at that. Decorate or cover a surface with a pattern. Tessellate. Look at the big brain on Grey Hat. Very cool. Curtis Hayes says lots of honeycomb storage wall prints on Thingiverse that you can get mounts for all your tools, drill bits, etc. Nice. I haven't dug super deep into Thingiverse. other than just like looking up very specific FPV stuff. Grey Hat says also I think if you looked at the aura from where the camera is, the direct light would make it look as good as your eyes maybe. Oh, it looks super cool. When I make it catch the light, it looks insane. On behalf of all of us, thanks for what you do. It is my pleasure, guys. It really is. Let's build the 2S, another 2S 75mm rig. All right, let's turn this up a little bit here. And yeah, we're just going to go in on the X12 because it's already 11:40. And all really need to do is swap the power lead out, and away we'll go. Really? I don't have another BT 3.0. Where the hell are they? Hold on. Hopefully I have more. If I don't have another BT 3.0, we ain't doing shit. I should have at least one more, though. Oh, God. I just need to find it. I think I know where it is. Let's see. Hang on. Hang on. Where you at, BT 3.0? Yeah, there they are. And this time I am going to remember to send the BT 3.0 upwards so that we can do that cool little locking in solution. That'll make more sense in a minute. I promise. Okay. BT 3.0 acquired. So, this is a Happy Model X12. This might be a blown up X12 for the record. I don't remember. I took it off of a rig for a reason. I don't necessarily remember what that reason was. Usually the reason is that they're broken. But I don't remember, and so let's just see what happens. This is the OmniFixo, the best way to work on electronics, as far as I'm concerned. And, all right, so let's get a little bit of flux on here. A little bit there, a little bit there. Oh, that wasn't enough, hold on. Man, I gotta get another one of these. This flux is really, every time I use this, it has dried up even more. Now it's just not playing ball. I haven't used it in a few days. Let me see if I can clear it out with a safety pin real quick. Let's just see. At some point, it's going to be too far gone. And I think that day is rapidly approaching. Okay, so let's see if we can get any flux out of here. Come on, you bastard. I actually don't have any flux other than this. There we go. 1, 2. But yeah, it's just going to get worse and worse. All right. Nerd goggles going on because this shit's tiny. Ugh. All right. This is the one. Here we go. Get this BT 2.0 lead out of here. Okay. And first one I did was the voltage. Second one is ground. I am going to clear that ground hole out with some solder wick, also incorrectly known as solder braid. Well, I don't know if that's incorrect. But it says wick on it when you buy it, so as far as I'm concerned, that's what it's called. All right, get a little bit of the excess out of the power pad there. Cut it off. And now we're going to have to remove a bunch of solder from this ground pad. When doing this on ground pads, you do have to be patient. It is going to take a little bit of time for the heat to transfer through the wick into the pad, melting the solder, and then having the solder get wicked up. If it's just not happening for you, come off the pad. There is flux powder in most of this solder wick, but there's not a lot. And so if it's not working, come back in with more flux. Add a nice blob of flux to the joint, and then come back in with the solder wick. You can even tin the tip of the soldering iron with just the tiniest little bit of solder. So get the solder wick exactly where you want it, and then just pick up the tiniest little bit of solder on the tip of the iron, and that'll help a ton. The solder wick will pull more solder up out of the joint than you could possibly imagine. It's really impressive, especially if you leave it there and you get good heat transfer. And there we go. That removed damn near all of it. And so here is what you're left with. What's cool is this solder joint is fully tinned right now. It doesn't have extra solder on it, but that's not really what tinning means. Like, tinning means that there's a coating of, well, you're about to see what it means. This is what a tinned through hole looks like. There you go. So the through hole is no longer the gold color at all. It's the color of the solder because there is a thin layer of solder on both of those through holes. The 100% ninja way to do soldering is to tin the pad, use solder wick to remove as much of the solder as you possibly can, and then re-tin the pad again. I don't find it necessary to really do that because we're not sending any of this stuff to space, but, you know, if you ever really wanted to do a super anal build, that's how you would want to do it. Tin, remove, tin, and then connect. And so I'm going to solder this on in the upward direction because we're going to run this thing out back and put it down the back of the frame itself. You'll see what I mean in a little bit here. Sorry, guys. I've had that camera faced way too far upwards. I'm sorry, not far enough upwards. All right, so on in Beta FPV world, white is ground. So that one's going to go on the back here, but they've actually got these are a little bit of a mess. I'm going to have to fix these. The exposed wires are all kind of like splayed out here. But also, these are going to come with lead-free solder, which sucks. You don't want that. So I'm going to take a little bit of solder here. I'm going to try to chase some of the lead-free solder out by pushing some leaded solder into this. And then I'm going to try to remove a little bit of solder once we're done. So put a little bit of heat into it. And then pick up some leaded solder. And there we go. Oh God, the solder ball on my finger is burned like shit. I'll do it again on this side. And all right, and now what I'm trying to do is just get this rounded out. Now, let me clean the tip of the soldering iron because I'm trying to remove solder here. So we'll come back in with the tip of the soldering iron having no solder on it, and then as we do this a couple more times, it's going to pick up a little bit more of that solder. That's a good thing. We want less, not more, because we're trying to fit the end of this wire through those through holes. And if you have a big blob of solder there, it won't go. And so one more time, we'll come in with a clean tip of the soldering iron and just push down until it melts, and then pull away. And then you turn it 90 degrees, do it again, and you can get this to be nice and round. You don't want it to be flattened out if you're trying to get it through a through hole. And then you kind of like look down the barrel and you'll see how round it is. Cool, so that's looking good. Now we're gonna do the white one, which is ground. Pick up just a little bit of solder here so that we can chase some of the lead-free solder out. And then same deal. Push down, squash it, and then pull out and away. Rotate the tip of the soldering iron to be a spot that doesn't have any solder on it. Always remember that solder travels towards the heat. So once you get the heat into the wires, the solder is going to want to come with it. That's why you can remove solder with the tip of the iron so easily. You just have to be patient, and you have to make sure that you get the heat transfer there. And now the last thing I'll do is put a little bit of flux on these guys. That's going to really help with that heat transfer. And it also gives you that nice shiny solder rather than the dull, ugly solder, which really doesn't matter, but let's be honest. You want it to look good, don't you? You want who doesn't want their balls to be shiny? Know what I'm saying? All right, so here we go. We'll do the ground one more time. The smoke is the flux evaporating, burning off. It's petroleum based. There we go. That should be just about right. And now we'll do blue one for voltage. There it is. That should be just about perfect. I'm going to hit the ground one more time, just to make sure it's as round as possible. Just like my ex-wife. Low blow, but deserved. All right, let's see if I can fit these in the hole. Here's our X12. We will put a little bit of an angle on it here. Well, let's just first see if they'll go. Ground. Oh no, it will not. It's still a little bit too big. All right, I got a little bit more work to do on the ground. Let's check the... Oh, wow. Neither one of them will go. So this is... What gauge wire is this? This is 20 gauge wire on the BT 3.0. That might just be too small. But let's try one more time. I'm going to now really try to remove all the solder by using solder wick. And so let's reflux these. And then we'll come in with solder wick to remove as much as we possibly can. This, by the way, is a very special spool of solder wick. It says John. It says John Wick. All right, so we put the wick on the wire like this, and then bring in the heat. And it's not going to remove much. There's not much there, but we want to get as much as we possibly can off of there. Wow, that removed a lot, actually. That removed way more than I thought it would. That was one side. Let's see if I can get the other side. Oh, close enough. Oh, no, perfect, perfect. That sat down really nice. And pull it out of there. Oh, yeah, that removed all the solder. Cool. So that's going to give us the best possible chance. Now I just have to get it rounded back out. I misspoke. It did not remove all the solder. It removed a lot of the solder. You can never get all the solder out of these. Let me do the other one while I'm here. It's still got flux on it. I try not to reuse the wick, but we'll be all right just this one time. Oh, that did a great job there. All right, let's get the other side. The other side looks a little nasty. Clean that up. No. Sit back down, fucker. There we go. Okay, that removed a bunch of solder. See it all? And so, chop that off. And, all right, so we got to make sure that these are as round as they possibly can be. And so let's clean the tip of the soldering iron. We don't want to add any more solder back, so let's make sure that the tip of the iron is nice and clean. Okay, so now we got to get these guys nice and round, and it's just a matter of like squashing it and then rotating, squash, then rotate, squash, then rotate. So squash, rotate, squash, rotate. Come on. Round out, you bastard. That looks pretty good. Hit it one more time. All right. There's that one. Now let's get this other one on the blue wire. Oh, that's better. Come on, there it is. That, and then hit it one more time, hopefully. We'll be good. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so those are really as small as they're going to go. If this won't work, I'm going to have to flat solder them, which is not the end of the world. It's just through holes are incredibly strong. So if you can ever use a through hole, you should. Nah, man. 20 gauge wire is too big. That's annoying. Yeah, no way. No way. Okay, so if I flat solder these going out, they're going to be right into the ducts. I need to make sure that it's going. Oh, this sucks because I really wanted this to loop up and over. Now it's gonna be super ugly now. Shit. So this is gonna sit in here. All right. So here's what we're doing. We're soldering these on the top of the AIO because. Where's the back of this frame? Here's the back of the frame. All right, because what we're doing is we're going to put the BT 3.0 down in there, like that. And so to plug in, and this keeps the battery from shooting out the front of the battery bay. And so for it to be like this, if I flat solder these on facing backwards, oh, you know what? That's yeah. See, now it's getting all close to the props and shit. I mean, I could do it super short. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do it crazy short. Because I kind of think that's maybe the only way of getting this done. So what do we got? Ground is in the back. Oh man, this is gonna be This is going to be kind of ridiculous. But we going to do it. All right, ground is in the back. That is where it needs to be for this to work. And so I'm just going to create a little bit of an angle here. All right, and then I'm going to trim this right back here. All right, that's ground. And then we've got live, which also needs a little bit of space. Okay. Yeah, that's about right. Just leaving a little mark there, and now I can come in and cut it the rest of the way. All right, well, I either just ruined this BT 3.0 by cutting it ever so slightly too short, or it's going to be absolutely perfect. Let's find out. So I'm going to cut these I'm going to cut just a tiny little bit of the silicone off of these. Because these pads that I'm soldering to are fairly small. Don't strip wire like I'm doing it. I'm being lazy right now. Use your fingernails. Drive your fingernails into the silicone, and you'll never nick any of the inner strands of wire. Like that. That is the safest way of doing it. And then you can just push the silicone back a little bit. And so now, I actually cut them a little bit too long, but that's okay. That's gonna be fine. I can do a little like S bend with them, and they'll be totally cool. Okay, so now we got to get these tinned. And I thought this would take like 3 minutes. Use the through holes, drop it in there, go. Nope. All right, so we want to get these as bundled up as we possibly can. There, that's looking pretty good. This will probably stand up. Yeah, look at that. That's fun. All right. And so now, since we're flat soldering these, we don't have to worry about the through holes. We can actually add as much solder as we want. Still don't want to add too much. Doesn't really help anything to add too much. There we go. That's great. Okay. Tin the tip of the iron, bring it in against the wire, and then you're going to try to push the solder through the strands of the wire. That's the goal here. You got to get the wire heated up first, though. That's what makes it kind of difficult. But the end goal is to have the soldering iron on one side and then push the solder in from the other side. You want to get the solder in between the strands. And that is totally fine. All right, let's see what we can do here. Where did the... There it is. Let's see what we can do. Come on, grommets, get out of there. Get out of there. Come on. Come on. Come on. Grommet looks like it's about to rip. Jesus. Okay. So this is where the OmniFixo is going to come in ultra handy. So we're going to use 2 to clamp it, but then we're going to use a third one to hold this wire perfectly in place. And so let's put it in there like that. And now we're going to do the, I can probably do this with this camera on. Might be able to give you guys a good view as to what the hell's happening here. Sometimes. Okay. And I'm gonna do ground first because the power lead is gonna be like right on top of that. Great work, Logitech. Great stuff. Oh man, what a beautiful autofocus algorithm. Look how active it is. Really doing a great job picking up all this contrast. Okay. Fuck you, Logitech. And the horse you rode in on. All right, so the ground wire is like pretty much in the exact right spot. And so, but what I did, I forgot to tin the board itself. Since I'm flat soldering to these pads, I need to put some more solder down on them. So let me just do that real quick. There's one. Here's the other. There we go. So we basically just filled those pads up with solder, which is totally fine. And now we're going to come on in here. I'm going to make a little bit of an angle on this. And I'm going to get this wire into the perfect spot before I come in with the tip of the soldering iron. That is like one of the most important bits of soldering. Everybody gets all carried away, and then they just get the soldering iron onto the work, and then they try to move stuff around. Don't do that. Get it in the exact right spot, and then at the last second, bring the heat in. You want to put as little heat into these boards as possible. All right, there we go. And so I'm going to come in here with tweezers to hold this wire down against the pad. And then what I am going to do is I'm going to use the tip of the soldering iron to push the individual strands of wire down a little bit. Since the silicone has some thickness and I can't hang the silicone off the side of the board, I'm going to have to try to make a little bit of an angle with the actual wire itself. Awesome. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to do the voltage, which, as it turns out, I did cut just like a fraction of a millimeter too short, but we're going to be okay. So I'm going to hold it here, and then same deal, push down to try to get the individual strands as flat on the board as possible. All right, something kind of interesting happened. It sucked the solder up out of the through hole, and so now the through hole is empty again. So now I got to come in here and add some more. And the wire is going to pop off when I do this, but that's okay. Maybe not. Yep, no, there it goes. There's it popped off. That's okay. That just means that I didn't put enough solder into the wire itself. Now we're just going to come right back in here and do it again. Oh, shit. There it is. And it's kind of creating a little bit of an upward angle, which is what I wanted anyway. So here's where we're at. Hopefully you can kind of see the angle that it created there. Nah, it's hard to see in the two-dimensionality here. But yeah, there you can see it. You can see how they're coming up off the board, right? That's kind of what I wanted. Let me take a look under a proper 5x loop. Let's see here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh, God. Although, we got a situation on the bottom here. I pushed a bunch of solder down and through, and there's like a big fucking ball of solder hanging out the bottom of that of that through hole. I mean, I could leave that, but I'm not gonna. You know, that look other than that looks good. So Let me just clear that out. I should just be able to come in with a clean soldering iron tip and get that out of there. The wire might let go though. Let's see. I'm just super gently. There we go. Yep, that was it. Cool. And now we are good to go. Sweet. That worked out. What's the frame we're putting it in? It's this one. And so now let's see if I did get the the right sort of distance there. And I can already tell that I did. I don't even have to push it down here. So when I put these guys on, you can see it's like lined up almost perfect. Just create a little bit of an angle and it'll pop right through there. That looks great. Camera canopy. Do I not have one here? All right, I gotta go back in the box. Hold on. Going back in the box. Oh, here's one. Got it. RedCam Nano 3 sitting right here with a clear canopy. And so we're going to plug the camera in first because that gets obscured when you put the AIO into the frame. There we go. All right. That's all the way in there. I'm going to stick with these grommets. These should be okay. They're a little, are they a little too short? Let's see. Yeah, they're a little too short. Let me go with a taller grommet. Luckily, the X12 has the little gaps in the holes here, which make getting the grommets in and out super simple. Okay. Get out of there. The Mobula 7 V3 frame has very tall standoff posts here. And so if you run grommets that are a normal height, the AIO will be able to move up and down. Not the end of the world, but also not a great thing. So you're going to want to use the longer grommets, like what I was showing you guys earlier. Okay. Longest ones I got. Where are all the long ones? I don't know where I got these taller grommets from. And I actually don't have enough. There's two different kinds in here that I'm trying to sort out. Also, I need some of these screws for the canopy, so I might as well just grab these guys while I'm in here. 2, 3, and 4. All right, so I need more of the tall grommets. Where the hell are they all? Have I used them all already? Certainly hope not. Balls, hold on. Hopefully I've got more tall grommets than another one of these things here. Cheatonian says the tall grommets come with the X12s, not the super tall ones though. There's tall grommets and then there's like the super tall ones. I'm wanting to run the super tall ones, but man, it is looking like I am kind of all out of the super tall ones, so I am gonna have to figure out where to buy them from, which is good for you guys. Yeah, shit. I've been using them more and more lately. Isn't there another one of these things floating around that has some grommets in it? Let's check this one. Nope. these are all M3 grommets, but maybe not. No, here's some M2 grommets up here. But none of the tall ones. Shit sticks. All right, well, we're going to make it work. These are all M3 grommets. These are too big. So are these. Damn. Nope. I'm out of the ultra tall grommets. That's annoying. Well, let me take a look at these 4 that I found. I think it's like 2 and 2. Hold on. Nah, it's 3 and 1. It is 2 and 2. Let's see. Are these the same height? They're close. Huh. RDQ might sell them? Maybe? I forget. It's been a while. I'm going to use these 4, and then I'm going to figure out where you can get more, and I'll order a bunch. That's what I'm going to do. These are 2 of a kind. So I'm going to put, since it's 2 of one, 2 of the other, I'm going to put, these are slightly taller, so I'm going to put these front and back, and then I'm going to put the other ones, the slightly shorter ones, on the sides. Yeah. All right, there's that. There's this. Come on, get in there. Get in there. There he is. And then on the side here. Okay, so clear frame. No, we don't put we're not putting the battery lead through like we normally do. We're just gonna drop these right on down. I got the camera plugged in, so that's all set. All right. Good. Yeah, these are the perfect length. The posts stick through just the right amount. And then this guy drops right in there. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. That is just right. Okay, so then we take our Modulus 6 canopy. That drops on down, throw the screws in, we're done. Just like that. Okay. So this X12 is currently set up. The motors will not be spinning in the right direction. And I absolutely need to add motor limiting. Other than that, we should be pretty much good to go, come to think of it. So let's get this screwed down real quick here. We'll plug the motors in. And I think I remembered to charge a couple batteries. I did. Look at me go. Look at the big brain on Brad. Okay, one in the rear. All right, that's looking good. Last one. Okay. Perfect. And so now we plug some motors, throw it into Betaflight, and profit. Cheatonian says, is there an antenna? Fuck a duck. I might be able to get it threaded through there. Where are the micro V's? There. But this is a black one. We can't have that. We can't have that. Clear frames get the white ones. That's just the way it works. All right. I think I can snap this down with this canopy already on there. Hey. Okay, send it down. I like to send these down through this middle hole in the Mobula 6 canopy here. It gives it, like, it points it straight up just enough, but it also keeps it away from the ducts in a really nice kind of way. All right, so let's see if this is going to work. I need to sneak this under. All right, so I need to put a little bit of a bend in here. A little bend in the UFL. The reason why I'm not removing the canopy is because you're screwing metal screws into plastic. The more times you do that, the sooner it's going to strip out. And so, if at all possible, don't remove screws. They do not have an infinite lifetime of screwing and unscrewing, much like my ex-wife. And there it is. Hell yeah. Got that snapped right on in there. And we are good to go. Shit. Look at that. Little battery lead hanging out right there. Let's get the rest of these motors plugged in. Okay. And so now the X12 is, oh, you know what might have been causing the Spectre weird flight issues? The motor plugs are pushing up against the frame. I need to clearance the frame a little bit. That could have been where that weirdness was coming from. It's the AIO is almost hard mounted right now because of that. Since this is an X12, Happy Model has put the motor plugs in a spot that doesn't bleed that doesn't smash into the frame. And so we won't have to do any of that nonsense with this, which is nice. All right, motors are plugged in. Let's just manage the motor wires a little bit just to keep them. Oh, great. And just like that, one of the motor wires broke off the T-Motor 1002. Happy days are here at last. You bastard. All right, let's see how quick we can fix this. Soldering iron is still on, luckily. Let's pop this motor off. Wow, that's frustrating. Okay, back to the OmniFixo. Put this one on its side here, and then grab... let's see if I can grab the stator base. Yeah, look at that. That's nice. Although, first, I need to pull this shrink wrap away from the PCB. And, yeah, there it is. That solder joint just let go. Alright. So, hold on. I'm tempted to, like, cut these wires and then shorten them all and solder them all back up, but instead of doing that, it doesn't look like the wires broke. It looks like the solder joint just let go. Like, this was just a cold solder joint. And so, weirdly, that actually helps me here, because that means that I can just reheat that solder joint with some flux this time, and we should be okay. So hold on, I just got to get this shrink wrap down on the wire a little bit. Untwist the strands of wire here. Oh, come on. Yeah, there we go. Come on. There it is. Just trying to slide that down. Yep, there we go. All right. And that's looking good. Okay. There is. All right, shrink wrap's out of the way. Yeah, I can just put this right back down. That's a weird failure. That is a straight up cold solder joint. This is a Monday motor. All right, so we're going to add a nice blob of flux here to the pad. And get this into position here. All right. Put a little angle on this wire so that it'll sit nice and flat on the pad. Here we go. Not quite there. All right, so this lead-free solder is being awful. Where'd my little thing of solder go? There it is. All right, so let's get this fixed the rest of the way. Okay, now that I have it sort of attached, I can grab all 3 wires here. And that'll hold that third one in place. All right, so clamp on all 3 of these. Pick up some solder on the tip of the iron and add it to the joint. All right, there's that. And just bring it in. Oh, that's it. That's the one. Perfect. Good to go. And that is now stronger. Let me do the other 2. While I'm here, let me do the other 2. They all look very cloudy, and I've got some fresh solder on here. I might as well spread the love. There we go. Middle one's always the hardest, but it's totally doable. And just like that, we're back in business. Put the shrink wrap back up here. And this shrink wrap is actually really important. Always make sure that you put it back on there. It really does help with keeping the wires from breaking off. And then I'm just going to hit it with a little tiny bit of heat. Get the shrink wrap shrunken back up. And there we go. Sometimes the shrink wrap won't go back on that joint. Take skinny tipped pliers and stretch the shrink wrap. Get in here like this and then stretch the shrink wrap out. And then you'll be able to put it back on there and then hit it with heat again. And you'll shrimp it back down. There we go. All right. That was unexpected, but not too bad. Okay. Hey. Drop this motor back in. And away we shall go. I'm super curious as to what the weight difference is going to be, because I actually shortened up. Well, I'm using a heavier antenna on here too, though. So yeah, this should be. I'm going to guess that this is going to be a full gram heavier than the one that we built Monday. Which, at the power level that these are at, shouldn't make any difference from like a thrust to weight standpoint. It'll make a little bit of a difference in a cornering standpoint, but man, 1 gram, that's not going to be super noticeable. These 1002s are going to run cooler than the 803s. Probably make about the same amount of power. So if you wanted to like fly this thing fast all the time, you'd want to go with these 1003s. I'm sorry, 1002s rather, 1002s. There we go. Handsome looking little guy. Only a little bit green. from the grass. Let's see what it be weighing. So the one that we built on Monday is right here. That's on a very lightweight antenna that Cloudhopper made. 26 grams exactly. This one that we just built, yeah, 26.9 grams. That was damn near perfect. Yeah, so 1 extra gram for 1002s versus the 803s, although it does have a little bit of a heavier antenna. So probably closer to like 0.7 of a gram difference in weight. Let's get this into Betaflight real quick. I should just need to change the motor direction and add a little bit of a throttle, a motor limit, and then we'll be good. I've only got 2 of these BT 3.0 batteries charged, but that's fine. I don't want to go flying around the house with any more than that. Especially at probably 12:30. Yep, there it is, 12:32. All right. Cole Powers says, someone needs to start a soldering company called For Flux Sake. I am down with that. All right. BT 3.0 being plugged in. Maybe it'll blow up. Well, I didn't get motor beeps, but that's probably because it's already booted up. Let's see. Motors and motor direction. I understand the risks. Wizard. Oh, balls. Oh, wait, no. I didn't click start and spin yet. Hey, there we go. Motor 1 is wrong. Click it and hopefully it reverses. It did! Look at that! Oh, yeah. Motor 2 is good. That means number 3 is going to be good. Yep. Motor 4 is going to be wrong. Sure is. Click it to reverse it. Double check it. There we go. Stop motors. Close. Props in. Good to go. Let's come in here. Pull the master up a little bit and just double check. Everybody's making thrust. Everybody's happy. Beautiful. Coming to the PID tab, and we're going to do a motor output limit of 80%. Save, and that should be it. I'm going to back this tune off a little bit. I will not need this angry of a tune. All right. Cool. Should be good. I like this BT 3.0 through the frame thing. That is really nice. It goes right through like that there. Right from up on top. Nice short leads. Drop right in there. And then so you plug it, you put the battery in here. Shout out to whoever the hell on my Discord figured this out. Put the battery through there. And then what's nice is, once it's plugged in, the battery can't shoot out the front. It can come out a little bit, but it can't come all the way out and go all dangle mode. Cool. So we're good to fly. Transmitter, some goggles. Time to get reckless. Oh boy. Hopefully nobody dies. Here we go. Plugging in. Oh man, those motor beeps on 2S are fucking strong motor beeps on 2S. This has a good amount of up tilt, but not too much. And you'll never guess who's coming to see us. There he is. Ah, the motors won't turn. Okay, so we got one more thing to do. 2S seems like it's worse than 1S when it comes to the motors not wanting to turn at idle. I don't know why that would be, but yeah, that seems to be a thing that I'm noticing recently. Let me bring it into ESC configurator first. They're probably going to be maxed out, but let's just double check. Yep, they're maxed out here. So we can get out of there, and we're going to have to do this with idle. Oh, you know what? Now that we're on 2S, we can use the digital idle. The dynamic idle, rather. Let's go 35 on the dynamic idle. That'll turn off the other idle. Ooh, nice. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, we're able to use the dynamic idle on these 2S rigs. 12 motor poles, that's correct. No telling if this is going to actually spin the motors or not. I'm just taking a guess with that 35 number. Although, I guess I can just arm it. Whoa. Yeah, still not high enough. So we'll go up to, well, shit. I think I can just plug in. Try it, I guess. Nah, hold on. Let's pull power. Dynamic idle will break the motors down farther for better PID loop performance in the engine brake in the motor braking direction, which is super important. With yaw, in particular, the more motor braking, the less it's going to jump up in the air. Although you could say that about all the PID loop commands, but yeah, it just lets the motors drop lower in RPM, which is really, really nice. PID tuning, dynamic idle. Let's go up to 45. Hopefully that's enough. Save, disconnect, and let's see. I'm not putting the battery inside of it yet. I'm just going to arm it and see what happens. Wow, no, even 45 is not enough. I'll be damned. How much idle RPM do you need? I'm going to go all the way up to 60. I really like to run it as low as possible. But I'm through dicking around here. I'm just going to put it at 60 and that should be fine. PID tuning. 60. Save. Disconnect. Alright, last try. Come on, buddy. Be there for me. I'm gonna put I'm so confident that I'm gonna put the battery into it this time. Get in there. There it is. Alright. Plug that up and through. I'm so confident I'm gonna put it down on the floor so that Teddy can investigate it. Son of a bitch! Well, now that they're idling, they're fine. It's fine. Yeah, there is a formula that you can use for these, but really, just go a little bit up, a little bit more. All right, well, the X12 hasn't blown up yet. That's a good sign. Oh, God. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, this is... Woo! There's a lot of power. It's stuck under the thing. Can't you just fucking... Please, don't make me go over there! I see Teddy's little whiskers. I don't want to tangle this up in his beard. Okay. So far, it feels exactly like the other one, which, I mean, that's pretty much what it's going to be. Oh, God. Cool. Oh, for fuck's sake! Teddy! Did you guys hear that? Ooh, God! There's some interesting jello going on. Oh, this is also, this has throttle expo that's completely wrong. Yeah, the midpoint's probably way too high. Let's go down to 28. Oh, buddy. Teddy. Wait, no, it's actually hovering pretty high in the throttle. It's hovering all the way up at 40? The hell is that about? Oh, shit. Oh, God. All right, so that was the X12 desyncing. So, yeah, that's not great. Where did it go? There it is. All right, so I got to keep an eye on that. Good to know. Everything appears fine. The jello situation is a little bit odd. These motors should be pretty fresh. Let's keep going, see what happens. Oh, you know what? It wasn't a desync. It's because it doesn't have enough. The motors are stalling out. Sorry, that's not a desync. Oh boy, this is so much power. Whew! Oh my god! Oh my god! I was flying a lot better last night. Man, the hover point is really high. Why is it so high? Woo! Man, you get the full throttle, this thing just explodes. Hold on, I have to fix this. If the hover point is going to be all the way up here, I can't have the throttle expo be all down at 28%. So hold on. Up to go down. First of all, I probably don't need this much throttle expo. And then let's move the midpoint. We're going to go all the way up to 38. When you move the midpoint, it changes the hover point. So never move it to exactly where it needs to be. That feels a lot better. 36, that's about right now. Much better. Okay, easy. Get out of there! Oh god. Man, you almost can't go full throttle. I think this has significantly more power than those 803s did. Because, boy, when I dig into the throttle, it just, like every little... Yeah, when I hit full throttle, it just books it. Woo! Shit! Oh, that stall. This is wild. To be honest, I'm pretty surprised this is this flyable inside the house. Oh, now I got a lot of jello. Woo! Shit! 2S, not for indoor use. For outdoor use only. Again, the motors are... I need to get that digital idle dialed in. Man, there's a lot of jello all of a sudden, though. What is happening with that? This is a handful. Oh, my God. It could just be propellers. Let's get another battery on it. And we'll wrap it up. Yeah, you see the... I hope you guys can see the jello. 4 minutes? What? That's a thing that we might get with these 1002s is much higher runtime than the 803s. That is a thing. That certainly happened on the Walksnail 2S rig. All right, fresh battery. Hold on. I gotta bump that digital idle up some more. I'm gonna go... Fuck it, I'll go all the way up to 100. I just want it to stop, and then I can start to bring it back down again. So motors and nope. PID tuning, and we're gonna go from 60. Now we'll go up to 90. Okay, that should almost certainly stop that behavior. You won't have to wait long for that, Gray Hat. We're going upstairs on this battery. I just wanted to make sure the motors aren't stalling out mid power loop. I'm only going to do like one though, because these are now starting to get louder, and it is late. Okay, here we go. Battery number 2, Thi2s 1002 T motor, 19,000 kV, bing bong. All right, now the digital idle is too high, but the motors ain't stalling out. Man, it hovers really high in the throttle. I can't remember the last time I had a rig hover this high in the throttle. You know how I can fix that though? Oh, I can turn the power up, but I don't want to turn the power up. That's suicide. Not in the house, at least. Oh boy. All right, we're doing one, just one. You know what's funny is it doesn't actually do that much better than the 65mm high kV rigs. I'll be super honest. Woo! God damn. These motors feel weird. Where the power comes on with these motors is different. That's why you see me bouncing around so much. Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if I like these motors from a power delivery standpoint. Oh my God! Oh my God! Man. Oh God. What? What's your deal? What is that? That's happening. Is it just hitting? Was I just hitting the ceiling? Oh boy, this is hard to fly. And then, did you see that big? Something's going on. Just staying in the open areas. Oh God, Jesus! I'm shocked that I can do any of this stuff. Oh boy! Oh shit! Look at the. Oh boy, this is something else. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, it's hitting the ceiling. Okay. Although no, that did not hit the ceiling there, and there was something very something ain't right. It's the motors might still be stalling out. Oh, okay. Or yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to screw around with this a little bit, but that behavior will certainly come out when I start flying it outside. Oh my God, this is hard to keep out of the ceiling. I'm trying to do the mega power loop, but it just generates so much thrust so quickly that it just rockets right into the ceiling. Ooh, Teddy. Try it one more time. Oh, I almost did it. Oh, God. Oh my God, this is gnarly. Oh was so close. It doesn't like it does crash a little bit harder than the 1S rigs, but it's not that much it's not that much worse. Damn it. Man, I think I'm maybe used to like adding throttle. No, this battery's done. Adding throttle a little bit earlier to offset like the amount of lag that these 75mm rigs usually get, and that doesn't work because this is just giving me immediate power. And with a power loop, when you start, the earlier you add power, the higher you go, and that's what's happening. Is it's going up into the ceiling before it has a chance to go backwards, and go down and go towards the gate. Man, okay. I don't think so far. I don't like these motors as much as the 803 motors, but there's some other weird shit going on that I got to kind of take a look at. So tomorrow, hopefully it's not raining, and I will take these two guys out and start to figure out what the hot 2S 75 analog motors are. But yeah, something weird's happening. The X12 did not blow up, though. We put 2 batteries through it, and it has not blown up yet. That is fantastic. Damn. Crashed it pretty good, too. A couple of those hits were pretty hard. There's a chance that a part of the problem is that I have 2 rubber grommets of one manufacturer with 1 durometer of rubber. Durometer is the hardness. And then 2 grommets with, but I doubt it. I doubt that that's the issue. USB port is clear. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Damn. Look at that. From 0 to 2 analog 75mm 2S rigs. Thanks for hanging, friends. Hold on, let me get caught up a little bit on the chat. Verbalance says, better late than never. Grey Hat says, dynamic idle 100 probably doing weird things too. Cheetonian putting some dynamic idle start stuff. What is that? DYN _ idle _ start _ INC. What the hell is INC? Grey Hat messaged me somewhere. $20. I don't know why you can't run dynamic idle on 1S, but the devs say not to. They say it can hurt the ESC. Oh, that's interesting. Cheetonian also says, Brandon says, don't use dynamic unless you manually set the parameter for... Oh, startup. That's what INC is for. It's the startup. Interesting. Oh, man, I'm so far behind on chat. I'm also, like, starving ass hungry, so... I'm going to bail. I'm going to... Oh, there it is. Dynamic start increases 4.5.1. Maybe I'll just turn off... I'll probably just turn off dynamic idle for now. Yeah, I'll just use the regular idle just for the time being, and then we'll dive back into that. Maybe we'll do a live stream surrounding dynamic idle. Thanks for hanging, friends. I got to go get some food, or I'm going to stab someone. 2S75, come with me on this adventure. This is, you'll see. This is nuts. See you guys on Friday at 7. CiottiFPV.com. Support me, and I'll keep doing this forever. Click thumbs up. Change your bookmarks to affiliate links. Do things. Love you. Bye. I'm not ready. Here's flying it on the 0803s again. Come on. Come on. There it is. See ya!